like a song and brighten my day. Who'd have believed that you were part of the dream? Now it all seems like years away. You know I can't smile without you. I can't smile without you. I can't laugh, I can't sing. I'm finding it hard to do anything, and I feel sad when you're sad. I feel glad when you're glad. If you only knew what I'm going through, I just can't smile without you.
What is happening, people? Welcome back to the Scarfey Talks Premier League podcast. A lot has happened since the last episode on New Year's Day. Managers sacked, managers appointed, fantastic games, entertainment, goals, mistakes, and also another game week to preview. So in this episode, we'll be reviewing game week 20 at the weekend. It already feels ages ago, and looking ahead to game week 21, which starts tonight. West Ham and Forest, massive game at the bottom, and it goes from Tuesday to Thursday. We talk about a load of things. We have already spoken about Enzo Maresca being sacked. We haven't spoken about his replacement. Manchester United, Ruben Amorim has been sacked. Darren Fletcher taking charge on an interim basis. And names like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer being thrown into the hat again on an interim basis. So a lot to discuss. Thomas Frank under pressure, according to reports. Nuno Espirito Santo under pressure too, according to reports. So a lot going on as well. Of course, you've got the January transfer windows. It should be a busy one. So I had to get a 5-star panel to join me, and that's exactly what I've gone out there and done. So let's introduce them one by one. Cam, thank you very much for coming on once again. You've been on a lot for me in the last few days. So firstly, apologies for that, but you are the Spurs fan for tonight. I mean, thank you very much for coming on. Hope you're keeping well.
Yeah, I'm doing well. Obviously, when I'm not thinking about Spurs, as always. But yeah, I'm doing well tonight, and hopefully we can get a result tomorrow against Bournemouth. I think they'll winless in quite a fair few games. But, I mean, who
11.
knows? 11.
Yeah, 11.
It'd be us to give them a win, though, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. Hopefully not, but yeah, it does feel kind of written in the stars. Cam, thank you for coming on as a Spurs fan. Joe, West Ham fan, thank you very much for coming on. Massive game for you tonight. Thank you very much for your time. Hope you're keeping well, though.
You as well, mate. It's good to be on. I'm very nervous right now. This
surprised.
could make or break our Premier League status tonight. So, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Absolutely. Your manager was confident. His answer was yes. When could you beat Forest? Is his team good enough to stay up? Was yes. So what do you briefly make of that?
I think we could, but it honestly depends on a lot of things. We've got the 2 new strikers coming in tonight. It depends on fitness as well. You know, Tadibo, Paqueta could not be in the lineup, so we'll just have to see. But I think it's doable, but just not if we play like we did against Wolves the other day.
No, you don't want that repeat of that. Otherwise, you might be heading for somewhere you don't want to be. Let's just say, Joe, thank you for your time. Again, difficult, circumstances for West Ham could change though tonight. Thank you. Matt, thank you very much for coming on. The Arsenal fan for tonight. Plenty of representation from London, 3 London clubs to be exact. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. I just got back home from work, but yeah, chilling.
Love it. No, thank you very much for coming on. I made it harder for you as well by making the podcast a little bit earlier. But I just had a sudden panic. I was like, I knew the first game was at 8, but I thought, goodness me, there's even more to discuss with names like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out there for United. I thought, oh my goodness, we're going to want to get through most of this at least. So I moved it a few minutes earlier. So thank you for cooperating with that. And Peter, thank you very much for coming on. I mean, I did send you the wrong information beforehand. I said what I meant to send to a Forest fan, I sent to you. So firstly, apologies about that. Secondly, thank you for your time. I mean, it must be easy for you to come on at the moment. Sunderland are high flying.
It's not hard when somebody asks you to come on and talk about Sunderland at the moment. Yeah, you had me down as a Forest fan, put out on Twitter there. I was getting a lot of stick from the lads on our lasses on our podcast over that one, but never mind. Yeah, no, great. Bring it on. Brentford away on Wednesday. So, I mean, there's no easy games, of course, but it's a one that we would be looking at. I think looking at the league table, looking at form, looking at, we still don't have players back from AFCON, but yeah, very much looking forward to any and all Sunderland content at the moment.
Absolutely, thank you. And just to recap, Cam is a Spurs fan for tonight. Joe is the West Ham fan. You've got Matt, who's the Arsenal fan, and Peter, who's the Sunderland fan. So again, representation from different Premier League clubs, 4 to be exact. And I'll try and be a neutral host. I always do my best. When it comes to Spurs, the frustration does sometimes come out, but apart from that, we should be okay. But we will get on to Chelsea United, all these managers that are either under pressure, been sacked, been replaced, been appointed, relieve their duties, whatever. We'll get onto that in a little bit. Let's start, though, by reviewing Game Week 20. And it feels weird to talk about it, knowing that Game Week 21's tonight. But it's only a couple of days ago that these games were going on. It's just a really quick turnaround at the moment. And the first one is Aston Villa and Forest, which ended 3-1 to Aston Villa. Joe, starting with you, I mean, it felt important, didn't it, for Aston Villa that the Arsenal game was only just a blip, a kind of bad result. They got back on track, especially being at home, and they've done exactly that.
Yeah, I think it was a good fixture to have for them, given, Forest, they haven't won in their last, I don't even know how long. So, they needed that. They needed, Watkins to carry on his form after the Chelsea game. It's a very good result for them, good result for us as well. So I was happy with that. But it was important for them, and they've they did very well to get the win over the line.
Certainly did. Thank you. Cam, I don't know if you saw, but McGinn had an interesting celebration. So what are your thoughts on that, but also on the way he played? It just felt like a real kind of captain's performance to get Villa over the line, make sure they got this win. They're very dominant in the first half, and they got that goal just before the break, which I thought was crucial.
Yeah, I think he's a key player that Aston Villa needs, to be honest, not just his quality, but also his leadership, to be honest. And when you have someone like that, he can definitely bring you forward. For example, Granit Xhaka for Sunderland, proper captain, proper leader, and look how well they've done this season. And I think Villa are kind of getting the benefits from that. And of course, that goal, the third one where, I don't know the Forest keeper's name, but he came off his line, horrid mistake. But yeah, I think he's a quality player, and he definitely helped them get the win.
Thank you very much. And Matt, I come to you next. I was going to ask you about keeper's mistake. I mean, that just felt like, one of those moments, didn't it, on FIFA, whether it be on PlayStation or Xbox, where you've held down that Y button for way too long. And I've done that a lot of times. I play my brother, quite often, and often had this thing where he's attempting to shoot because he'd miss, and often comes back to bite. Let me tell you that. But it just felt like one of those moments, didn't it? I mean, what was the keeper thinking?
Yeah, I mean, just a severe lack of concentration from him. I think he just completely lost position of where he was on the pitch, and he tried to go for the ball and he was nowhere near it. And it's just a classic round the keeper shot, really. It's poor from him, because you'd expect better, his concentration on his position. But poor goal to concede. I actually think that the Arsenal result it was blown out of proportion, really, because they were missing 2 key players in Cash and Kamara, who were very essential to their team. And I think the way that they bounced back against Nottingham Forest was actually really good. But yeah, good result for them.
Thank you. And Peter, as I accidentally called you a Forest fan when the thing didn't update, I'm going to ask you, of course, about Nottingham Forest. It feels just fitting to do so. So, apologies firstly about that. But, with Forest, they have to be concerned at this point. It feels like they're losing quite a few games at the moment. I mean, luckily for them, West Ham are not, but the clubs that Leeds United above them are. So for Forest, it just feels like, they're in a difficult position at the moment where they're not playing well and they're not really getting results.
Yeah, it's not looking good for them, is it? I mean, really, before the season started, we expected, we would have been wrong to think otherwise, that we would have been involved in that at the moment at Sunderland. But it's, all credit to the team and the coach and everything that we're not. Yeah, it's not looking good for Forest right now. They just don't seem to be able to get... Well, they can't buy a win for a start. Was it 14th of December? I think the last one against Tottenham. Is that right? I think that would have been their last win. They've sort of lost Fulham, City, Everton, and then Fulham, City, Everton they were beat by, and then they've been beaten by the Villa. If it doesn't turn around, you would think they're in there. I mean, I think for West Ham, I'm sorry, man, but it's probably to your benefit that Forest look as shaky and it's just nothing is going for them. And as somebody who's seen a team where nothing's going for them in the past, yeah, it must be soul destroying right now.
Not good at all for them. Thank you very much. Next game then, Brighton and Burnley. Pete, sticking with you on this one. I mean, Brighton have been a bit of a strange side, and I've said it many times, I'll say it again, where, they have like 6 games where they really struggle. We've had that recently before this game. And then earlier they had, I think, 7 games they were unbeaten. So for them, it seems to like almost be split into stages and international breaks, how they get on. But in this game, a crucial win, but maybe an expected one at home against Burnley, but still got the job done.
I don't think anybody was surprised by that. Burnley lost. Brighton when they've been good, have been very, very good, and they've done most of that good at home. Yeah, wasn't expecting anything different than when I saw the full-time result for that one, Popple.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of people will agree with you on that one. I mean, Matt, coming back around to you, I mean, there has to be a point, doesn't there, where Burnley get points. Otherwise, they find themselves in a similar situation to Wolves, where they're just like completely wrote off from everything, expected to go down and really struggling and just out of sight from anyone else. So do you think a game like this, Burnley should be trying to get something from it? Brighton, don't get me wrong, good side in particular at home, but just a game like this where they're not too far above them, where they can go, look, we need to snatch a point here. I mean, they have been getting a few points, but certainly not any wins.
Well, just looking at the Premier League table, and Burnley are now 6 points above Wolves. So Wolves, that win against, who did they win against? West Ham. That win was massive for them, because I think that puts the pressure on Burnley so much. And I honestly think that if Burnley don't get some sort of a result against Man United, they could be in serious trouble, because it looks like Forest, Leeds, Bournemouth, very safe. And then it's just the remaining 3 that are just struggling at the moment.
But Matt, did you not hear that Burnley were 24 points above Sunderland, and that was all that mattered going into this season? So, sorry, that's a dig. I don't mind Burnley that much, but they did give it out an awful lot at the end of last season.
I think Sunderland have exceeded expectations massively, but we'll come to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Good to see them back in the Premier League. I think a lot of people agree with that, and seeing rivalry of Newcastle as well is a good element of that. Thank you very much, both of you, for that. Joe, it felt like in this game, very dominant from Brighton. I mean, if I quickly just refer to stats, and stats don't tell you the whole story, of course, but Brighton's 15 shots to Burnley's 5. I think Brighton had 61% of possession, XG, as expected goals, 1.45. Burnley was just 0.30. So every stat you look at suggests that Brighton got that deserved victory. I mean, just Burnley just didn't really feel in the game. And is that a problem for them?
Yeah, I think... I mean, from a West Ham perspective, we were kind of almost, well, we still are really looking over our shoulder at them, because they are, I think, only like 1 or 2 points behind us. But, I just think sometimes they very often have a game where it's like, the expected happens. And, you look at Burnley's fixtures, and to be honest, even, when I'm arranging my FPL, for example, like, you're going to stack players up against Burnley, it becomes almost like routine for them to lose. And if they make a draw here or there, but I just don't think they're like of that level. And Brighton, they've had their moments recently. They struggled against us. They were struggling all throughout December. And, it could have gone very wrong for them, but sometimes you do just need that fixture against Burnley to just kind of lift you up a bit. And, for me, it's kind of, routine. I don't think it's anything detrimental to Burnley. I think they can say they would have expected to lose that game, but, I just think sometimes it doesn't really mean very much in the grand scheme of things, and Burnley will probably be looking elsewhere for points other than Brighton.
I think you're right. Joe, thank you. You reminded me of the FPL team. And anyone listening live, by the way, let's get this right, 21 minutes till the deadline. I completely forgot about my team. There's a couple ineligible. And, I'm one of those people, right? When we do FPL at the start of the year, I'll just say, yeah, I'll do that day, or I'll do that. Yeah, whatever, if I lose. And then I forget about the FPL team every week. And I'm in trouble at the moment.
If you want someone against Burnley, then Cunha's the guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I might bring him in. But yeah, I'm going to try and do that just a minute while I ask the questions. So we're multitask and we can do that. Prove that, we can do that as men. But I'll come to you, Cam, on this game. Again, I want to focus this time on Brighton. What can they achieve this year? Because they find themselves in 10th position. And for context, at points this season, they found themselves 16th, and they found themselves actually, believe it or not, for about 4 minutes, they were third in the table. But the point is, I know the table's tight, but they find themselves right down there or right up there. What can they achieve? They're not too far away from the top 8, for example.
Yeah, well, as you said, I don't think the points gap is really that far set so far, and I think they can definitely achieve something great this season. I think if I was a Brighton fan, if we can really go for it, I think we can try and get like a top half finish. I think, considering there's the likes of up there, who's up there? Brentford, Sunderland, Newcastle. I think a few of those teams are going to drop off, to be honest. And if Brighton can get some results in this second half of the season, I think they can definitely get up there. I mean, they've had their highs and their lows this season, but I think if they can just get a consistent run of results, I think they can definitely be up there.
Agree with that. Okay, thank you very much. Certainly not the most interesting game, eye-catching game of Game Week 20, but still a crucial win for Brighton and Seagulls fans. We'll be very happy to get back to winning ways. This one was a little bit of a surprise. I mean, you know we're going to come to Joe first in just a minute, but ended Wolves 3, West Ham 0. Joe, firstly, sorry to put you through this. I have a curse of, I've had about 3 or 4 different West Ham fans. Every single time, no joke, they've come on, they've discussed a defeat, or they've come on and they've lost after that. So for your case, you'll be hoping that does change tonight. So if you don't, you can absolutely blame me and not come back on here. What did you make of this game, though? Because you're 3-0 down at half-time. I mean, that's just not good enough, is it, on any level?
It honestly was like, we've been bad, but that is a low that I didn't think we'd hit. Do you know what I mean? It was like, we've kind of, under Nuno in particular, we've had games where we've not been able to get points just through like the sheer quality of our team. Like, it's just not fantastic. And then we went to Wolves. I do think we played them at a bad time, but to be 3-0 down, not even halfway through the game, is just like, soul destroying, really. It was kind of just, I was sat there looking at the TV like, we actually really could well be going down here, first time in 15 years. And it's just kind of, like I say, I think we played them at a bad time. They've just drawn to United, for example. That's their second game in a row now unbeaten, which is something that I don't think Wolves fans would have ever foreseen 3 weeks ago. But it's we were just so bad, so bad. It looked like, the only players that cared really were like Magassa, who ended up giving away a penalty, and he was so angry that he gave away a penalty. Even Bowen looked, even Bowen looked shoddy. It was, he was part of the reason we conceded the first goal, kept giving the ball away. We didn't have a shot on target all game against a team that was 20th in the league. And quite frankly, I don't know, we need something dramatically to improve tonight if we want anything different, put it that way.
100%. What do you think in terms of how you got on in the second half? Because you didn't concede any. You often see that, don't you, in football, where you just get complete domination or complete massive scoreline in the first half, and it just slows down. Maybe you just go, look, damage limitation, this can't get any worse. But it's quite a sad thing, isn't it, that you get to the point where you're going, let's not concede 4, 5, 6 goals against Wolves out of any club. It's not Man City we're talking about.
It's just like, for me, the second half, I was just kind of like seeing red the entire time I was staring at the TV and not really taking on what I was actually seeing. Do you know what I mean? But he subbed on Souček and Ezra May as one of our youth defenders, and went to a 5 at the back, took off Magassa and Potts. And, that kind of shored things up a bit. But we had nothing going forward as a result of that. We didn't really have anything going forward anyway. As I say, we didn't even have a shot until like the second half, and we didn't have a shot target all throughout the entire game. So I don't think it was really a representation or anything. I think both teams just kind of went, Wolves were in fantasy land and we were just like, we need to actually set up the damage limitation here because our goal difference is already bad enough. And conceding 4 or 5 to Wolves, as you say, is like criminal in the context of a relegation battle. So I don't know. The second half, it is quite a big blur in my mind, but it is, very yeah. I just it was honestly such a mad game. I still can't believe it even happened.
No, it's one of them you felt was key if West Ham won it, and it's just like I just
Well,
didn't expect that.
we'd be going above Forest tonight. If we beat them tonight and we beat Wolves at the weekend, we'd be out of the relegation zone. That's ultimately the bottom line, and we failed to do that. The biggest opportunity we'll have all season, I think.
100%. It feels a key game, and I think it attracts a lot of interest. And they're not, being honest with you, either team at the moment are not easy on the eye because they're both struggling in the style of football, but it is one that a lot of people will watch because of the importance, if that makes sense, of it. And it could be very tactical. I think it'd be really tense and tight if I had to predict. I think there's a lot of nerves and not wanting to make mistakes, but we get onto that game in just a bit. But firstly, Joe, thank you very much again for that. It's always difficult to talk about. I mean, we're short of West Ham at the moment, but when you lose 3-0, never easy, is it? I mean, you can tell me.
Difficult being a West Ham fan, full stop, mate. Don't worry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely that. Thank you very much, though. Cam, I come to you. I mean, Wolverhampton Wanderers in 2026, 2 games in, 4 points, drawing 1-1 against Man United at Old Trafford, beating West Ham at the Molineux 3-0. I mean, maths isn't great, but they've scored 4 goals and conceded 1. 2026, new year, new Wolves.
Yeah, more points than us in 2026, if you want to put it that way.
It's true.
But when I came on it to preview this game week, I predicted 1-0 West Ham. I don't think I could have been any more wrong. And then Wolves go and thrash West Ham 3-0, and that was at half time. When I saw 3-0 because I was out and I came back home. I put on Soccer Saturday and saw it was 3-0 Wolves. And yeah, it's not looking good for West Ham. It's looking good for Wolves. But I think for West Ham, it wasn't a good time to play Wolves, considering they had that momentum for that result against United. I think they could have won that as well, to be honest. I think Wolves is this a turning point? I'm not too sure. I think I'm going to have to see more from them because I did see a tweet on my timeline. It was something like teams thinking their system is finally working, but you're playing West Ham. Yeah, I saw that, but yeah, I think I'm going to have to see more from Wolves, to be honest, if they're going to turn it around. But yeah, new year, new Wolves.
Absolutely, definitely new Wolves in the new year. Matt, I come to you. I mean, what do you think of this game? I'm sure it took you by surprise. And it just also felt, didn't there? There was a little bit of like, well, I'd say a little buzz around Molineux. The fans are really happy. Rod Edwards, big smile on his face, clearly loved doing that interview after. I mean, if we just put, kind of what we think of Wolves, if you like them or not, aside, isn't it nice to see, not what we've seen in recent weeks. It just feels like a horrible feeling hanging around Wolves. It just felt like just a bit of a reliever. It just felt like they needed it.
I've got a bit of a controversial take on Rob Edwards. But headed into the game on my Super 6, I had 3-0 West Ham. I had 3-0
More wrong
West
than
Ham.
me, then, I guess. I guess.
Well, yeah, exactly.
I guess you could.
I had
get more
3-0
wrong.
West Ham because I just fancied West Ham to just dominate them at Wolves' backyard, and I couldn't have been even more wrong. But yeah, I mean, with Wolves, maybe they could mount a charge of points, but the only points I see them getting, like wins wise, is against Burnley, and I don't know when they play them, but that's the only win that I can think of that they're going to get next. And as for West Ham, like I just look at their squad, and where is Lucas Paqueta? I don't know what's happened to him. Has he gone, or is he injured, or
he's injured? Yeah, he had a back
is he?
problem.
Okay.
He might be back tonight though.
So when he comes back, he might make the team, a lot better. But I look at their team, and the one player I rate is Freddie Potts. I rate him quite highly. You know, I think he's a very good player. But aside from that, I don't see many players that are like Premier League level anymore. Like Callum Wilson, he's a bit iffy, but the rest, of course they have Jared Bowen, but aside from that, I just think that they're destined to go down, really. And I'm sorry to say that, Joe, but it's not looking good at all.
It feels like that from our
I
perspective.
don't know what's happened to all of your class players that you had. They've just gone, and you've not replaced them
I could go on about
any
this.
quality. Do you know what I mean?
Go on about this for days. We spent so much money, and there's just nothing to show for it. Like,
I still remember when, I think a couple of seasons ago now, a West Ham fan put on Twitter, the team that they built with the Declan Rice money is better than Declan Rice was with West Ham. Does that make sense?
we replaced him.
And they couldn't have been so wrong.
We replaced him with Ward-Prowse and Edson Alvarez, and at the time, like that
To
was.
be fair to Edson Alvarez, he was decent for 6 to 9 months.
Yeah,
he was all right.
He's in Turkey now, you know. Like,
yeah, but Ward-Prowse, I mean, nah, not a good sign at all.
It works, like you say, it worked at first, but you know, it's kind of the players in general. They're just not of the same quality, and quite frankly, Declan Rice is the best midfielder in the world. At West Ham, you're never going to replicate that.
Yeah.
I think Freddie Potts is probably the closest we're ever going to have. Recently, anyway. So, like, I won't bang on about it for too long, but.
Okay, thank you very much. Can I come to you, Pete, and get your thoughts on this game? Assume it took you by surprise. I think it shook the whole footballing world, really. Just not just at Wolves winning, but by 3 goals.
By 3 goals and being there by half time as well. Look, Joe, I'm sorry, mate. Yeah, I keep saying I've been there. It's rough. It's horrible when you just can't buy one, and you just can't at the moment. I think tonight's going to be a massive match for you guys, because what I saw from West Ham against Wolves, particularly in that first half, that's a team going down. And Wolves as well, what I've seen from them this season, that's a team that doesn't look like they belonged at all. However, as you said, the year of the wolf, it's not, it's the year of the horse this year coming up, but never mind. The year of the wolf, the year of the Wolves could well be, but it would be some comeback if Wolves were to save anything from this season. It's not impossible, but yeah, that match tonight, man, that's going to be a colossal game between yourselves and Forest, because lose that, and it's not about the points difference. You're right. I think you're right what you said. It was 2 points, but difference between you. But the mentality side of that, if West Ham lose against Wolves and then got it against Forest, I think that could be pretty dire. Anyway, I hope it's not based on any misgivings towards Forest. It's just you're here, and I'm going to be looking at you for the next 45 minutes or so. So I might as well not annoy you. But massive match tonight, man. Don't envy that.
100%. Joe, got a couple of questions for you, if you don't mind. One is from the YouTube chat. Jimmy Hotspur, Spurs fan, says, "What's happened to Thomas Souček? He's miles off it." Do you agree with that? And by all means, give your thoughts.
So he's kind of, I think he's just hitting a point now where I don't know. He's not like really up to the pace. Just surely because of I wouldn't say age, because he's not that old, but I don't really think he fits the mold of a squad that we're trying to create that needs more pace. We signed Fernandes and Magassa, who are 2 quick players, and then if you take them off and you put Souček on, and it's like all of a sudden there's loads of gaps, and our defense is already shoddy enough, and we can't really have that in front of it. So it's tough. He's better to kind of, I'm sure you'll see it tonight, where he'll throw him on with 10 minutes to go, and all of a sudden you have that added option of you can stick a cross in the box and someone's going to get on the end of it. Whereas, at the moment, there's no one else that can really do that. Magassa's tall, but he doesn't make late runs. And Callum Wilson isn't particularly tall himself. So I don't know. I feel for him, because he's been so dedicated to the club for so long, and you just can't hate the bloke. But he's just every time I come on, I'm not really filled with confidence, just purely because I don't really feel as though he's like up to the pace. It's a similar situation with Ward-Prowse, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Will Prowse is a player I know that West Ham fans get frustrated at, if I'm not mistaken. Just set pieces, is that it? I mean, you haven't really seen that either. But Joe, bring him up on screen if it lets me. For those that listening on YouTube, it will come up in just a second. But it is Nuno Espirito Santo, which he's under a little bit of pressure and a lot of reports. The Athletic and load of different sources. I think Give Me Sport is one of them as well, that say if West Ham lose tonight, then Nuno is gone, and they're already lining up the likes of Slaven Bilic to replace him. So Joe, get your teeth into that. But firstly and mainly about Nuno Espirito Santo, do you think that he should be going if you don't get a result?
Honestly, I don't think the manager changes anything. I think, for starters, I think someone like Bilic would just be a backward step. We all love Bilic from like the Payet days, but he never really, I don't really think he's someone that's going to get you out of a relegation battle in modern day Premier League. The thing with him is he has improved us in my eyes. We are competitive in games. Before he came in, we would just get tanked. I don't know if you remember at the start of the season, we played Chelsea, we lost 5-1. That was a relegation performance. That was almost as bad as the Wolves one at the weekend. And I know we have just been tanked by Wolves as I say this, but, we haven't conceded. This is crazy. No, I'm actually saying it. We haven't conceded more than 3 after Nuno's come in. But, he hasn't got any of his players yet, apart from Pablo and Castellanos, who have come in this weekend, and obviously are yet to play a minute. I'd imagine one of them will start tonight. I just, for me, you've got to give him more time than the 3 months that he's had. He's only won 2 games, I know that, and our form is questionable, but we've drawn a fair few. I just think he's our best shot, really, because I think, when you look at the candidates West Ham look to replace him with, it's, our board, the nature of our board is, we've never spent money on a manager. We will go for a free option, and I can tell you for free now that free option won't be Enzo Maresca. So that leaves you with the Biliches, I can't even think of anyone else, but I wouldn't put it past them to get Sam Allardyce in or something like that.
Joe,
do you know what I mean?
There's a name here. Someone's thrown in the chat. Jimmy again has said, "Would you take Michael Carrick?"
I think Carrick is a good manager for starters. I think that is far more of a risk than keeping Nuno. If we end up going down, absolutely. But I just think right now it's better off to stick with Nuno because he has got kind of something going. He's going to have January now to fix the situation on his own. They're fully, we've already spent 45 million on strikers. It will be the same on centre-backs. We put a bid for Bento from Al Nassr in. We're doing a lot for him. And I think right now, Carrick at this stage, I don't think it's a wise move. But at the same time,
Joe
I think
is
no
spot
matter
on
what,
here because Nuno's a quality manager. He is, You saw what he did with Nottingham Forest last season, and he needs to be backed by West Ham basically, because I don't think that West Ham, with the current squad, with the current ownership, can attract a better manager at this point in time. And the fact that they have Nuno is incredible, because I don't know how he's agreed to it when he went from Nottingham Forest, the players, the team he had, to West Ham. So I think he definitely needs to be backed, because they've got a quality coach who can maybe pump 200 million in, and he could probably have you at least top 10, potentially top 7.
But
He's
this
that
is
good
the
of a
thing.
manager.
When he came in, everyone was like, "Oh, West Ham will stay up now. They've got Nuno," and here we are 3 months later. But I just think, when you look at it in terms of, especially the key point here as well is, how the board will act. Our board, quite frankly, like when Moyes left, as the prime example, they didn't know what they were going to actually do as the next step. They knew they wanted a next step. They wanted to get rid of Moyes. The style of play was boring, however you see it. I personally didn't agree with it, but that's a whole other conversation. And they you cannot trust them to get in an adequate replacement. And for me, out of every manager out there, if you want someone to, help you in a relegation battle, I think Nuno is that guy because he has a rich history of just building teams. And I don't know, I just think, and because of these sorts of decisions by the board, this is why I don't think, a managerial change would help our fortunes in any way, because that's just another reset for another group of players that, quite frankly, struggle to adjust to anything. And it's tough, man, because I could be horribly wrong here, but I just don't think, as you said earlier, like, we've spent so much money and we've got nothing to show for it. That indefinitely shows, like, this is a squad problem. This isn't as much of a manager problem as people make out. And the squad is that bad. We need so many additions in January. He has no one off the bench. At the weekend, Souček was the best player we had to come off the bench. And as I've just said, I don't really think he's majorly up to that. When Paqueta wasn't injured, we had like Somerville or Wilson on the bench, but that was it. And it's kind of, we've spent shy of £1 billion across like the last 5-6 years. And man, it's just like, there's nothing to show for it. 40 million on Max Kilman is the prime example of it. That is 40 million down the drain. And I just think, let Nuno get his guys in. And if that doesn't work, then, you've tried the risk versus the reward and it's failed. But I think you would have failed either way, to be honest.
No, that's fair enough. Joe, again, appreciate your honesty with that. Jimmy Hotspur saying, could Karen not get an apprentice? Of course, the joke there with the show Apprentice, that she is part of with Alan Sugar. I love that. That's great. I mean, just an outsider looking in briefly, I just don't think that Nuno's a problem. I don't think the manager is a problem at West Ham at the moment. I think it's a top-down approach, very similar to Tottenham with West Ham, just the more dramatic version maybe, where it's the owners that's the problem. They gaslight fans, in my view. They just tell them everything's okay, everything's rosy, we'll be fine, we've changed, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and they don't. And then as fans, we go, oh, well, this, they've changed, and they figure they move a couple of bodies around in the board, and it's all, look at this, it's all changed. And actually, no, nothing's changed at all. And I think right now with Spurs, my club, we're experiencing that, treated as new owners because it's a slightly new looking board. Same ideas, same ambition. It's been there for over 2 decades, and that is no ambition. Let me tell you that. But next game, Bournemouth and Arsenal. 5 goals in it at the Vitality. 3-2 win for Arsenal. Matt, we've got to kick it off with you. I felt that Arsenal showed real grit, real determination to get a result. A few early scares, but it's the all-important win again. It just felt very much like a champion's result, where sometimes you're not always at your best. There's mistakes in there, individual errors. We saw that from Gabriel, but getting the job done.
Yeah. Firstly, with the lineup, I didn't expect Saka to be rested. I didn't expect Trossard to be rested. I didn't expect Gyökeres to start. So the lineup was fairly interesting. But again, it's brilliant that we can rest a Saka even in a Premier League game, away from home against Bournemouth. It's brilliant that we can. And Noni was excellent in the first half. He was probably our only good player in the first half, because the first half was an absolute disgrace from basically our whole 11 bar Noni. We were just very sloppy in possession. We were giving the ball away too easily. Gabriel made that mistake, but then he resurrected that mistake. But in the second half, we were just a different team. And Declan Rice, I mean, he's a leader. He's a leader without being a captain. If Odegaard wasn't the captain, Rice would be. Simple as that. And it's just brilliant that we have Rice and Odegaard on the pitch because they are two incredible leaders. And Declan Rice recently has just been killing it. He scored his first ever brace in his career. Both of the goals he took very well. And then Krupi came out of nowhere with a clanger. What a goal, by the way. What a goal. Raya had no chance. It was an absolute clanger. But we saw the game out thanks to Rice's second of the game. And it's one of those games where, again, it's another game where it shows title winning mentality when the opposition are scoring goals, but you're scoring more goals than them, even when you're not playing as well. And yeah, like it was just a very good game, to be honest. And I'm just glad that we rested a lot of key players ready for Liverpool on Thursday.
Certainly did. Thank you. And Matt, lastly, I mean, I could pick out so many positives. I mean, mention a few there about A, just getting a result, B, scoring 3 goals, being able to rest players, champions mentality and victory, and arguably performance at times as well. But a slight negative that I want to pick out is Eberechi Eze. Are you getting the best out of him? Because, I mean, it hasn't been involved too much, as you'll know, in the last few games, last few weeks. And Odegaard's a player you mentioned there. I mean, how about giving Declan Rice the captain's armband, saying to Odegaard, you find yourself outside the team, and putting Eberechi Eze in that team, in that 10, where he works best?
I think with Odegaard, he's obviously come back from injury over the past couple of weeks, and he's just looked phenomenal. He's keeping Eze at the team. Simple as that, really. And
can you get both in the team, though, is the question, really?
Yeah, you can get both in the team, and we tried that against West Ham, where we played Odegaard and Eze. Unfortunately, in the first 20 minutes, Odegaard picked up an injury, so then we brought on Zubimendi, and then had one attacker. But it is possible. But I just think, who do you drop, really? Because Zubimendi gives you so much control in the midfield, and Rice is a pure box-to-box midfielder. Both boxes, he's excellent. So who do you actually drop? Because you can't drop Odegaard because he's the captain, he's the creator. With Eze, though, look, I go back to a couple of seasons ago where we played Bayern Munich. I think it was the second leg, and we obviously lost. We lost both of the legs, altogether. And Arteta said in a press conference after the game, he said, we need a moments player, a player who can dribble past 3 to 4 players and stick it in the top corner. And last season, I think we potentially had that in Ethan Nwaneri, but obviously he's very raw, very young. But we had that, but we just couldn't obviously use him every single game. But this season, we've signed Eze, and I think he is that player. And I think people are underestimating what Eze could do in the back end of the season. Because in the back end of the season, or in previous seasons, we've struggled to score goals. We struggled to create. And I think when Odegaard's just struggling for fitness, he's tired, you can bring Eze in, fresh pair of legs, who hasn't really been used, much yet. Although he's still played more minutes than Odegaard this season. But yeah, I think he's going to be very crucial at the back end of the season, and I think there we're going to reap the rewards of having Eze.
Okay, thank you very much. Really appreciate it for kicking us off there, Matt. Cam, I'll come to you on Bournemouth. I mean, as you know, we said it earlier because Tottenham playing next. We'll get onto that game a little bit later. But winless in 11, but it looked like a better performance in this. I'd call that a spirited performance for Bournemouth. Yes, with a gift along the way from Gabriel, but they stayed in the game till the end.
Yeah, I think it was a better performance from Bournemouth. I mean, albeit Arsenal rotated a fair bit, and that obviously had an influence, or almost had an influence, on them getting a result. But I think Bournemouth, they need to get a result, and I think they need to get one quickly, because if they can't, then I think there is potential that they are going to be down there in the mix of relegation. What do I think they're going to get relegated? No. Do I think they're going to be in that battle? Probably not. But with the likes of Semenyo, I think he's got a medical at Man City on Thursday. So after the game with us, I think when you have a player like him who can show up and get those goals and pretty much get them results, yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one with Bournemouth. I mean, they lost 4-1 to Brentford, and then, I think they're a better team at home. I think if they can get those results at home and perhaps try and see if they can get some points away, I think they're going to be all right.
Okay, good stuff. Thank you very much. I won't ask you all about each game so we can get through some of them. But before we move on, Pete, I will ask you about this game. What did you make of it? Because again, it's 5 goals, it's entertaining, and just like you thought the game was done, you thought Arsenal got a result, then Bournemouth scored that amazing goal to get back in it. So just like, on your edge of your seat, not knowing how it's going to end, but Arsenal with the 3 points at the end, which feels a familiar story, doesn't it? Where you're not sure, they grind out a result in the end.
It looks like theirs to lose at the moment. Don't want to jinx you there, Matt, but you really haven't seen. Well, we've seen just about everybody now, but Arsenal look good. I think Arsenal would be up there as one of the better sides we've seen, but I've seen definitely one of the better sides I've seen this season. It's theirs to lose. This, as far as I see it, wasn't really expecting anything from Bournemouth from that one, but Bournemouth will be safe.
I think one of the big negatives that I think the mainstream media will pick up on is the fact that in our previous 3 games, I'm not including the Carabao Cup quarterfinal because but in our last 3 games in the Premier League, we've not kept a clean sheet. We've shipped 5 goals in 3 games. Now, I know everyone thought that we might break the Chelsea record, but that's not happening anymore. But that's really the only negative that I could really think of, really, like from that game.
No, absolutely, definitely. And of course, when you're playing well, getting results, people always try and be looking for the negatives to, try and counteract all the positive things that do happen. But yeah, clutching straws at Arsenal at the minute, and that's credit to Arteta and Arsenal, to be fair, coming from a Spurs fan. But Leeds and Man United on paper, of course, is always big game, and it's had a lot of potential. Leeds clearly turned a corner. Daniel Farke really, has definitely saved his job. He's one of probably the most secure managers in the Premier League right now. It's how good and how impressive they've been in the last 6 or 7 games, Leeds United. And, for Man United, of course, dropping points last time out. We'll get on to Ruben Amorim in just a little bit. We'll focus on this game, the calm before the storm. Joe, kick it off with you. I mean, in the end, who's more frustrated with the draw? Because you listen to both managers, and neither of them sounded very happy after the full-time whistle.
It's a tough one to judge, because I think Leeds will take any point they can get, but they're kind of already peeling away from the relegation battle anyway. I would say United. I do think Leeds will be annoyed to have drawn it the way they did. I would say it's kind of equal, really. I think United needed something non-catastrophic after drawing to Wolves, but that result kind of looks a bit better now after the match week just gone. So I don't know. United will have wanted to push on a bit. They've thrown that completely in the balance now anyway by sacking the manager. But I'd say it's pretty equal, actually. I think they'll both be equally as frustrated as each other that they didn't grab all the points.
Yeah, one of them. Okay. Thank you very much. Cam, what did you make of this one? Leeds took the lead. It looked very good, but were pegged back quite quickly. And the noise inside Ellen Road when they were 1-0 up was something else.
Yeah, I think Leeds, as Joe said, I think it's a hard one to judge. But I think Leeds, they're unfortunate not to get 3 points in this one. And albeit a point is good for them, they need all they can get. But, Daniel Farke, he's single-handedly sacked Ruben Amorim, even if, there were troubles with the board. But I heard his comments in the press conference. I think at Ellen Road, it's a difficult place to go to, and I think for United, they're going to be frustrated. But I think at the end of the day, I think they're going to be frustrated, but I don't think they deserve 3 points, to be honest. I think Leeds were quite good, and obviously they were frustrated. They couldn't get 3 points, and yeah, I think on another day Leeds win that game.
Okay, thank you. And Cam, sticking with you because Leeds, at the time of recording, of course, played 20 games along with everyone else. Leeds are now on 22 points. For context, West Ham are in 18th with 14 points. So they sit, in a pretty position, let's just say 8 points from safety. Of course, as we know in football, that can be turned over very, very quickly. But for now, they look safe. Do you think, if I was to say to you now and put your neck on the line, do you think Leeds United will be playing Premier League football next season?
Yeah, I think they're steering safely away from the relegation zone, to be honest. I think there's definitely teams worse than them. I don't think they're going to be in the mix. I don't think they're going to be in like the mid-table spots comfortably. I think they're going to be I think they're going to finish 15th or 16th, I'm going to say. I don't think they're going to be really running away with it. But I think, there's teams like West Ham, teams like Burnley, like Wolves, and Forest as well. I think, when Leeds can get results like this, and even against Chelsea, they won there at Ellen Road. I think they're comfortably going to survive relegation.
Okay.
I actually think Leeds did well in that game. And both teams could have won it, I felt, because I think if Man United started one of their, academy 10s on the bench, which was Shea Lacey, instead of Patrick Dorgu, who isn't a 10, then they've got that creative outlet alongside Cunha. And I just feel that maybe if Almiron had taken that risk and played an academy kid, that could be the difference between 3 points and 1 point. But it's obviously those fine margins that, determine a result. And with Leeds, I don't really know what to say about Leeds, because I've been so impressed with a lot of things about them. One, their manager, I can't remember when it was, but there was a specific game he changed formation. And since that game, 80% of their games, they've got positive results from. And I just think that change needed to happen because they were really struggling. And also, the rejuvenation of Calvert-Lewin. He's got more goals than Gyökeres, which pees me off a bit. And this guy's finished. He is, like, everyone thought he was finished. Literally, everyone thought, he can't keep fit. He's never going to play for England again. But I think he's got a good chance of making the England squad, because if he keeps the amount of goals up and scores anywhere between 12 and 17 goals, I think he gets called up for England and maybe fights with Ollie Watkins. But he's really proven the doubters wrong. And Leeds, they just look really like they don't ship that many goals, or they're starting to not ship that many goals. And I mean, big result against Chelsea, they draw against Liverpool, big win against Crystal Palace, a draw against Liverpool again, draw with Sunderland, which is huge, draw with Man United. They're just getting really positive results for them. And, like, as we said, anything can happen, but they are deserving to stay up in the Premier League.
Yeah, absolutely. They're doing well for sure at the moment, and no sign of that slowing down. But as a result, Ruben Amorim went on a bit of a rant after the game. Something clearly upset him upstairs, saying, "I am the manager." He went on a massive rant, by the way, and he just came up with so many different things. And one of them was, "I'm a manager, not the coach. I made this clear." And the lines of, the sporting director needs to do his job. I'll do my job. And I've never quite heard anything like that. But this was Ruben Amorim when he was Manchester United manager. This is Ruben Amorim when he was sacked as Manchester United manager, clearly getting his wish. If you go by the photos and, at the end of the day, what was it, 10 million payout going to Portugal in the sun? I don't think he's done bad at all. And I think Man United's probably a mess, a lot of cracks behind the wall. I think there is with Tottenham, so imagine how many there is with Manchester United. But Ruben Amorim is the big story. So That's how he felt, I'm sure, after games. We'll stick with this image for now. Matt,
He's chilling, isn't he?
He is.
He's absolutely chilling. And his comments, I mean, right? When you go to his announcement post or Manchester United's announcement post of when they hired Ruben Amorim, it said head coach. And I think it's utterly disrespectful for him to say, I am the manager of Manchester United when you are not. You was the head coach of Manchester United. You're not the manager. They're two different things. You don't get hired. Yeah, he was a newcomer. He had been managing for 3 to 5 years before his Man United job. No one is getting that manager role with that little of experience. Like Pep would probably get, that role, but a newcomer with a couple of years experience is never going to get that. And I couldn't believe that he said that. And I couldn't believe half the stuff he said in his interview, because it was basically like, just sack me because I'm wanting to get sacked. He was basically wanting to get sacked. He wanted that payout. He got that payout. Fair play to him, but I just don't agree with his comments.
Okay, thank you very much. That's fair enough. He's clearly unhappy with upstairs. And you can look at it two ways, can't you? You can look at it and go, they bought players like Cunha, Sesko and Burmo for Amorim, or you could look at the defence and go, Luke Shaw, Johnny Evans, Harry Maguire, and feel that's been completely neglected. And I found myself probably in the middle. I think he's done an okay job this season, maybe better than stats are painted out. But at the same time, it was a lot of coarse arrogance that we've seen plenty of times. And a lot of high-profile managers have been sacked in 2026. And a lot of open their mouth. And we get that, don't we, in January, right? Where managers get a bit on edge. They clearly are pushing. And you often see that when they name less substitutes, they name academy products on the bench. They come out of their post-match interviews and go, I'm not happy. This is bad this, bad that. And you just know it's a tactical, I think, time of year for owners and hierarchies and boards to do more. But some managers had too much to say this year and, had too good of a Christmas and come back and reality's hit them and said too much and been punished as a result. But Peter, can I come to you?
Absolutely. On the Amorim one, though, just like before you move on, you might be about to ask me exactly this question, but I've not seen that type of display from a manager, just general contempt for his bosses, really. And then, by dint of that, the club, there was no way he was taking charge of another Man United game after what he'd said. And it does bring in what we were saying earlier on, is that this one feels forced. Like, it does feel a little bit like he must have been sitting there with the missus and gone, she's gone, really? You've had enough? Just call the owners something. Tell them you're the manager. Just get out of it. But it doesn't seem like he wanted to be there for a while. But there was never a chance for him to go back after what he said.
His rant reminded me of when Conte was at Tottenham. I mean, that is a generational rant, and that will forever be in the history books of the greatest press conference I've ever seen.
It's up there with, I would love it if we beat them. Love it. Or love it if they beat them. Yeah, exactly.
That was hilarious.
Grand.
I love that. And someone said that Conte is his agent, if you didn't know. But Antonio Conte, some of the things he said, like he said that the club's rotten. We talk about Spurs, club's rotten to the core. This club don't win anything. They wonder why. And Conte at the time at Tottenham was really interesting. I mean, Cam will be able to tell you more. I'm trying to think now.
Sometimes you don't realize how bad others have had it until you hear it on things like this.
That was it. Same players, same owners, different manager, same result. Yes. Nothing will ever change. Tottenham were rotten for the next 100 years. It went on and on. It just I thought, leave. Just get out. And he was like, had enough. Same thing. And it just, honestly, it made it even funny. It was an Italian accent and he was just so angry. And you could just tell. And I mean, whether he got his wish or not, I don't know. But you never ever him again. It was just, Cam, do you remember anything that he said? I was trying to think now, but I think that's probably the greatest rant that we've seen. After 3-3 draw with Southampton, because we were 3-1 up in the game. We conceded, for context, 98th minute through a penalty. So, and this interview was done just after the game. So he, voiced his frustration.
I do remember him saying something like 15 years and they've never won a trophy or something, or never won anything. I was pretty much just saying the players are not used to it. They're not used to stress, or they're not used to a good mentality or something like that. I don't even know. I can't remember. He said way too much. it was ridiculous, to be honest.
Okay, thank you very much. It was just like a passionate, like kind of rant. But Ruben Amorim, I saw that picture, it was great, and dabbing up the reporter, and he's loving it. Really, I mean, fair play to him. Really, I don't have any problem with it. I don't hold anything against him. Maybe he has got what he wants deep down. We never know. That's the thing. We can just assume that's what he wanted to get sacked. But at the same time, I think he said to any of us, like if you say to Joe, for example, after losing 3-0 to Wolves, put him in an interview 5-10 minutes after that result, I'm sure he's a lot angrier than he is now. Joe always comes across really well. I mean, he'd be able to say better than I do. And the same with a lot of us. We're angry after the result. And managers, they are trained, to be fair, PR trained, media trained, but some still can't quite filter what they say. Never forget Andrew at Tottenham. I mean, just the way he used to treat reporters like pre and post match was chalk and cheese. He was, the media's darling before a game. But after the game, he was proper nasty. He wanted to fight the reporter, really, every single time if the result didn't go his way. No joke. He used to try to square up.
With Amorim, the thing with Amorim is that I actually found him quite likable. I don't know what it was about him. Like, I just, he would say some pretty, things on the line in his press conferences, but in general, I never really saw him as like mad. I actually thought he was quite like a nice bloke.
Yeah, I liked Amorim. I thought he was a good guy, and actually he done okay this year. I thought he'd done okay, let's just say. Cam, what do you view of the Amorim situation? I mean, United, were they left with no real choice at the end?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't think, they didn't have any choice, to be honest. I don't think, I know people look at the past of Manchester United, but I don't think he's a Manchester United type manager, if you know what I mean. I think with his 3-back system, he wasn't really given all too much in the defence, in my opinion, to really make his system or allow his system to fit in the Premier League, and allow him to fight for those Champions League spots and reach top 4, top 5. I think, not left with much choice, to be honest. I think it's the right decision.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone got anything to add on Ruben Amorim? For now, no? Okay. I mean, I think we've had so much on the news and the media that there isn't really a lot to say that hasn't been covered. But what we do know for now is that man, Darren Fletcher, not the best picture of him, probably done him dirty there, so I apologise to Darren. But he is taking interim charge at Manchester United's next game, which is Burnley, I do believe, and he'll be assisted by Johnny Evans, actually. I thought he was still playing for the club, so there you go, player manager role. So, he's going in charge. I mean, we'll get on to how they get on in just a little bit. But lastly, on United, this man, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, by the minute, seems increasingly likely to be interim manager of Manchester United until the end of the season. I mean, that's just under half the season to go. I mean, he's a little bit less than that now, but it's a big chunk of the season. Some will look at it and go, that's United writing off this season and ripping it up and starting again in the summer. And some will look at it going, this is probably a sensible thing to do to get the managerial appointment right, while also not damaging this season. Peter, how do you view this? I mean, I was joking to friends a couple of days ago when Amorim was sacked that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be back. I didn't for once think about really what I was saying. I didn't mean it at all. But it looks like he actually is coming back.
Insane if that's what they're going for. You can only hope they have a plan. For me, that does smack of them writing the season off so far this year. They're going to try and cruise it in with whatever they can get and hope that they can get the correct manager that they really want to come in, or the correct head coach that they want to come in the summertime. Now, that can go spectacularly wrong, particularly when you're talking about a multi-billion pound a year business like Manchester United is. If they don't make European positions through their league placement, if they don't get European competition, that's a revenue hit for them. Yes, of course, they have the huge thing behind them that they have with the shirt sales and everything like that, and the brand that is Manchester United. But it's a big risk to try and. I mean, look, I'm sure if they do go on and win an FA Cup or end up sneaking into a Champions League place, then this was perfectly exactly what we aimed for. But I think that's a big risk for me. I think Amorim had to go for the reasons that I said before. He'd made his position untenable. But to go back to Ole then, and then to essentially leave it open, looking like that's an open job in the summer, I don't like that really as a move for me. It worked for Sunderland. We got it right a couple of years ago when we got rid of Bale and put Mike Dodds in as assistant head coach until the end of the year before giving it to Labrise. But it's a very different game doing that in the Championship than doing it in the Premier League, in a very different club, at a very different stage of what's going on with Man United than with Sunderland.
See, I couldn't disagree with you even more.
Really?
Because I think Ollie is actually probably the best move they can make as of right now, because he's been there and done it.
Do you not think that's the problem though? Because it ended
But I
so
don't think
sour.
they'll be ever planning to give him the job full time. I just think they'll let Fletcher have 1 or 2 games while they sort out the Ollie appointment, and then he will just oversee the rest of this season, get rid of him, and then get a new manager. Because one of my people has told me that Sir Jim Ratcliffe has spoken to Mauricio Pochettino. I don't know. I mean, I assume he's going to be on the short list for when the World Cup is finished. But that doesn't seem to me that they're planning on keeping Ole Gunnar Solskjaer after this season. No matter how well he does this season, even if he gets them into the Champions League, I still don't think that they would say you could have the job, because they're not run like that anymore. Yes, the Glazers are still there, but in terms of decision making, I still think Sir Jim Ratcliffe would be appointing a proper manager, not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But for part-time for the rest of this season, I think it's probably the best move that they can make, because Fletcher, I mean, he's an under-21s manager. Yes, obviously, we've seen an under-21s manager get a result against Pep, but it's not quite the same, because you don't know if they're going to be the same. And I just think that it's just the best option they have.
Okay, there we go. We agree.
It makes sense when you put it like that, but I just think the idea of going back to him after what happened the last time and that interim period, it just puts a lot of risk.
If they hire him,
there's a lot of football between
season,
now and the end of the season. Yeah.
Then they've made the worst mistake they've ever made, because what Ollie will give them is it will put smiles in the dressing room. He will just restructure the team back to, getting results. It might not be pretty football, but he will probably be getting them results. A lot more than Fletcher, a lot more than Almrim, a lot more than any caretaker manager available probably would. But yeah.
Elements of identity as well, do you think, as well, for that interim period? Because I'm making an argument against myself now, but you've won me over. There's elements of that, the history of a different United that most of the people attached with the club now, and many of the people even in the backroom staff, probably won't have that much of a connection to. But he, of course, was there, won everything. They're a team that's lost their identity there, Man United. And he has that identity, that United identity running through him. So yeah, it does make sense in that case.
I mean, what I want to see is Roy Keane in for 6 months.
Do you know how close they are?
I want to see that personally, because that will be just comedy. That would be like 4K drama.
They are close.
They're incredibly close. Because when there was a lot of talk about Roy coming back to Sunderland, there was a picture with him fishing with Ollie, and it was I think there was something like, what, one of us is going to be the new manager of so and so, or something like that coming up, or pick us for a new manager job.
He went and travelled 6 hours, I think, to go and see Gunnar Solskjaer to consult him, because he was upset, of course. So Roy Keane made that journey out of his time, 12 hours both ways. So, there's clearly that, good relationship there. But agree to disagree, both making good points, if I'm honest with you. So we'll sit on the fence on that one. But next game to review, because I do want to get into the preview eventually, because otherwise the game will kick off. West Ham and Forest, or Gameweek 21 will start before we get to talk about Gameweek 21. We do not want that, of course. Everton 2, Brentford 4, 6 goals in this one. Cam, I'll start with you if you don't mind. Everton, they get a big result, last time out, huge win, for example, away to Forest. They got a couple of results really big in that week, but then they fall foul at home. I mean, we started their kind of blip at home. It's, we have to clutch onto little things like that right now as Spurs fans. But point being, we're focused on Everton firstly. They're a really yo-yo team, aren't they, at the moment? They just haven't figured it out defensively. David Moyes is defensive manager. They just don't look great defensively.
Yeah, I don't really know what I think about Everton, to be honest. I mean, obviously, as you said, I think they were unbeaten at their new home before we went there. But they're a really like in and out team, to be honest. One week they'll win, the next they will lose. But I think it's too easy for Brentford, too easy, especially away from home. I don't think Brentford are the best team away from home, but I believe Igor Thiago got a hat-trick this game, so on 14 goals this season. I think he's been really impressive, and I think he's second to Erling Haaland for top goal scorers. Everton, I think they're really poor, to be honest, even though they got the consolation goals. I think their defence is just too leaky, too inconsistent. I think as a team, they're too inconsistent, to be honest. But yeah, I don't really know what I think of them, to be honest. But if I sum up, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Big up, firstly, for those listening on YouTube, everyone that's commented. Got Jimmy Hotspurs put in the most comments. Big up to Jimmy. Also, regular on the panel, West Ham fan in Lewis. He said, been able to pop in quickly. Hope the pod's gone well. Seen the West Ham lineup. Big calls. He says, Common New Irons, big game tonight. There we go. So, fellow West Ham fan, thank you very much for getting involved. We have got a West Ham fan on the panel as well in Joe, who will ask him about the lineup in just a little bit. I'm allowed him more thinking time with that one. But, Matt, I come to you on Brentford. This wasn't meant to be. They weren't meant to be this good after losing their manager in Thomas Frank. They weren't meant to be this good when losing their captain. They lost key players, very, very key players. Some being Mbamo, Visser, Norgard, as well as I said there, Thomas Frank. They lost a lot of people. And their coaching staff, by the way. About 70% of the whole, main coaching staff, the manager went. And they're just absolutely flying. En route at the moment, if things continue to be, top 8, top 10 at a minimum. How impressive you've been with them in this game as well. Igor Thiago was just amazing.
I want to know who their attacking coach is, because I'm going to list you off the attackers that they've had who have scored 15, 20 plus goals in the Premier League. You've got Tony, you've got Mbeumo, you've got Wissa, now you've got Thiago. Like, where did they find these strikers, attackers? But yeah, Brentford, when we played them, when we beat them 2-0, they weren't in a great spot, to be honest. And that wasn't even that long ago. That was maybe like 5-6 weeks ago. But they're 7th. I mean, they're only 4 points off of Liverpool in 4th. And if they can keep scoring these goals with Thiago, they could be on a European charge, because their defense it's all right. I mean, it's not the greatest, but it's all right. Thiago, he's just a very clinical finisher, and we got lucky that he was benched for our game, because I think had he played, he probably would have scored against us. But yeah, immense form. He's got 14 goals. Haaland's got 19, and everyone's lauding up Haaland's season. And I think Thiago is going absolutely so much under the radar. It's ridiculous. And I wouldn't be surprised if a top club came in and put 50 million on the table for him, because he's just one of those strikers that has just come out of nowhere and he's hit the ground running in the Premier League. I've been very impressed with Brentford. I'm very impressed with that striker.
He's done really well, thank you. I want to talk about him a little bit more. He deserves credit. Peter, I come to you. Igor Thiago, the man that we're talking about here, hat-trick in this game. It'd been a little while before he scored. Can he chase down Erling Haaland?
No, because Erling Haaland isn't real. Erling Haaland doesn't exist. He can't hurt us. I'm just glad we got through those 2 games against Man City without him getting the touch of the ball. But we're here to talk about Brentford. They've been fantastic. Expected a bit more from Everton in this one. I have to say, I thought Everton had turned a corner of something in their season a little bit, and they've been really playing some good stuff. I'm not looking forward to playing them in the FA Cup, but yeah, Brentford have been good, and that they were class in this one. And clearly, you're scoring those type of goals. I think he's going to be there or thereabouts with Haaland. But if Haaland stays fit and keeps doing what he's doing, there's nobody taking that golden boot from him. Brentford will be very, very happy, man. I can't see myself adding too much more to that one. Everton be bitterly disappointed with it. Brentford, they're keeping on going. I'm playing them next and seeing the goal threat that they have. In previous incarnations of Sunderland, I would have been very, very worried. But under this version of Sunderland with Reggie Lebris, I'm confident in our defence to stop them. I don't think Brentford are putting 4 past Sunderland. Why did I say that on a podcast? But anyway, I don't think Brentford are putting 4 past Sunderland. But yeah, they were impressive against Everton.
Clipped 1 minute 15. But
Yeah. Stick it in. Come for me. I don't care. I've been wrong about worse than that.
we will. But I'm sure, haven't we all? But, Sunderland defensively, to be fair, you've been, on it. And I think you play for a lot of games for a draw. And I can't blame you. You come up with the aim, of course, of staying in the league. And maybe that aim will change in terms of the way you set up, of course, with bodies coming in January, if they do, the right bodies. But the point is, you're a tough side to beat. And that's sometimes the hardest bit to do. If you're tough to beat, you're halfway there, really. If you just got to focus on having a good attacking performance. So you're doing well and a reach the breeze. Good to see. Next game, Fulham and Liverpool. 4 goals in this one at Craven Cottage. So we saved the amazing strike, which I'm sure you all would have seen. I hope anyway, from Harrison Reed. We'll discuss that in just a second. But Matt, we'll start with you. I mean, I'm not even. Well, I just assumed at this point of the season that I'd be saying, title challenger to Liverpool, but cannot be saying that at all. Wow, I thought it would actually be the other way around. If anything, after the summer that Liverpool had, you had a good summer too, but they walked the title last year. But in this game, I mean, do you think a draw is a fair result? It would have felt harsh, wouldn't it, on Fulham to lose this game? It looked like they were going to in stoppage time. It looked like they're throwing it away.
I actually think Fulham got robbed. When Vert scored that goal, I mean, from the angle that I've seen on Twitter, he's clearly offside. He's clearly offside. I don't know where they drew the lines, but he's clearly offside. But I felt a draw was a fair result, really. I think Liverpool's struggling. Like, they're struggling to put in good performances. They're getting results, but their performances haven't been that convincing. Not particularly, but Verts, fair play to him. He's coming good. He's coming good, and I think, I think everyone who's got a football brain knew that it was a matter of time until Verts clicks into gear and got used to the Premier League. Because you don't spend 130 million, 150 million on that type of player and just him producing those very, very poor performances. I think you are bound to get a reaction of what type of player he is. And I think when they get Isak back, and I would play Isak and Ekatike and Verts behind them, I think they're going to be incredible, in that front three. And I think they need to move away from Mo Salah and move away from wingers potentially, because you've got a world-class striker and you've got a striker who's got the potential to be world-class or is very close to it. If you've got 2, quote-unquote, world-class strikers, you've got to utilize them. You can't have one on the bench. You've got to utilize both of them and have that threat. And obviously, Isak is injured, but when he comes back, I would want to see Slot, if he's there, put 2 strikers up front, because I think that could be devastating. But defensively, they are really shaky. I'm excited for Thursday because their defense, I'm licking my lips at their defense. And that's the one area I think that they have to improve on. They have to replace Van Dijk with. No one's obviously going to be Van Dijk, but they've got to get as close to a quality replacement as possible. They cannot afford to get that replacement wrong, because if they get that replacement wrong, they will fall down dramatically. Because apart from Van Dijk, their defense is horrible. I don't rate Kirkes. I don't rate Frimpong. I've never rated Kanate. Robertson is nearing the end of his career. They've got rid of Trent. their goalie is quite old, and I just think that a major rebuild in the defensive areas is very much needed. But with Fulham, Fulham I've got a soft spot for them because they've got quite a lot of our academy players, so I've got a soft spot for them. But what a strike! I mean, that's an incredible strike. I don't know if he meant it. I don't know if he was planning to shoot, but
He
that
looks
is a hell
surprised,
of a
but it could
strike.
just be a big celebration after what is a big goal. You just don't know.
Yeah, but incredible goal, and I kind of enjoyed watching all of the Liverpool fans online celebrating, saying that they've got the winner, they're coming for Arsenal, and for them to just drop 2 points just like that. And the saying is so true, and it's one of the most true sayings in football that I've ever heard of, is you're most vulnerable when you've just scored.
It's true. It's true, though, isn't it? Absolutely. Thank you. And by the way, what you said about the Liverpool defence, I think you're absolutely right. But the frustration for Liverpool and their supporters would be they spent over 400 million in the summer, brought in 2 new shiny fullbacks, and their defence is still the problem. And the problem is the fullbacks they brought in really, if anything, they're more wingers, aren't they? Of wing backs than traditional fullbacks in the back four. Then neither of them are suited to back four. Kirkes is good at Bournemouth, but he wasn't really asked to defend because they've had like Cook who cover, Christie who cover in that position, and Frimpong, of course, as well. I just think he could offer a lot more, and almost the Mohamed Salah position that he does. In terms of he's better going forward. The point is, both of them are good going forward than defensively, and for Liverpool, you've got to be good at both. And at the moment, I know he's not there, of course, because of AFCON, but you've got Salah, generally speaking, who doesn't track back. You've got Frimpong, who's not interested in defending. Kirkes isn't interested in defending. Gakpo's not interested in getting back. That's why they're conceding so many goals, because the pressure is on Konate and Van Dijk. Van Dijk hasn't got the legs. He's forced into mistakes, and Konate's not all the best. So when pressure's put on him, he panics, and again the errors come. And then there's more pressure on Alisson in the end, and something slips through. And it's just you can see why it happens. But some good points made there. Thank you, Matt, for that. Cam, more points dropped for Liverpool. It's been a bit of a story, isn't it, of their season not being able to hold on to points. They thought they had 2 precious points, 2 more precious points they ended up with, but in the end, it feels like a disappointment for Liverpool. But a draw may be fair in the end.
Yeah, I'd say a draw was fair, to be honest. I did predict a draw before the game. I think these late goals that Liverpool conceded just sums up the story of their season, to be honest. Even if it perhaps wasn't the worst goal to concede, I mean, I think it was 25 yards out, I'm pretty sure. But Liverpool have to do better. I mean, even when they got the last minute winner, I thought they'd won it, to be honest, because I didn't think that they were that bad. But there you go. Sums up Liverpool's story this season. I think they just have to be much better throughout the game. I mean, I know it's such a one-off type of goal to concede, but I mean, they have to be holding on better, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. Love the comment there. I think he should have saved that Harrison Reed shot. Well, I don't think so with that one. But hey-ho. Joe, before we move on, I mean, what a strike by Harrison Reed. It deserves, quite a few of you to answer this one, because it was a superb strike. He's never going to score as good of a goal, is he? He's already becoming that player from Fulham. It's like a needs-must player, like a Robertson we mentioned for Liverpool, just comes on occasionally. What a strike.
Honestly, I'm sure you Spurs boys will remember when my mate, a Liverpool fan, he messaged me, he went, I think I've just seen the reincarnation of that Lanzini lockdown goal.
Oh, God,
It's
yeah. What
like-
a goal that was.
How did I know you're going to bring up Lanzini then? I literally knew it as soon as you said that. As soon as you started that sentence, I knew.
You've got to relate everything to West Ham somehow, do you know what I mean? But
Love it.
it's just like my laptop has died. There we go.
Oh, have we still got you, though? Or not? Oh,
Can you hear
maybe
me?
we haven't. Yeah, we can hear you. Go on. Can't see you. Well, you're frozen, but we can hear you. Keep going.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened. But,
It's all right.
yeah, no, it's yeah, no, it's going to be up there for goal of the season, isn't it? I haven't, I couldn't believe it when I saw it. It's just like, Harrison Reed, that's a name I've not heard for years as well. I don't really have much other words for it. It's absolutely mental strike.
Huge goal as well for Fulham. Vital. Point that they didn't think they were getting, but absolutely deserved. Thank you. I'll let you sort out your issues there. Next game was Newcastle and Palace. 2-0 win for Newcastle. Cam, I'll kick it off with you again because Brennan Johnson, of course, joined from Tottenham and started this game. What do you think of the way he played? And you'll know, won't you, as well, that it's not the all-round performance that impresses of Brennan Johnson. It's how clinical he is. He looked like he was in good positions, but nothing to show for it so far.
Yeah, of course. Considering his numbers in the 24-25 season with us, I think it's unfortunate you can show up in this game against Newcastle. I think, although I think Palace were quite poor in this game, I don't think it necessarily comes down to just an individual. Of course, it's a team game, but I think, he's a type of player that when he's being provided service, he will deliver. Sorry. I think he's a clinical player when being provided with service, and I think Palace just couldn't really give him that. For Newcastle, I think they've really shored up their defence. I think they're a good side at home, albeit they've been a bit poor in terms of concentration at home, kind of similar to Liverpool. But I think this is a game they should be winning at home. It's expected. They really should be. Although Palace are, a team that can definitely surprise people. But yeah, I think Newcastle done well to win this game. I think Palace were quite poor.
Okay, thank you. Matt, Palace back in their favourite position, 12th place. It feels like home.
No, Crystal Palace are they're 14th now. They're not even 12th.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they were 12th when the game was during the game, and now they're 14th because of other results.
No, they're not going to get relegated, but I think they're in that situation where they're probably not going to push for European football. So they're kind of in that limbo of just being mid-table, really.
Feels the end, though, doesn't it? As something good with the manager, with Mark Gahey and all these things. Hence why they've gone big in January early on.
I think it was always going to be the end because what Glasner wanted to happen was for Mark Gahey to sign a new contract, and he was pressuring the club to persuade the player to stay on, and he's just having none of it. And I think Glasner will go Man United. I think Wharton will go Man United, and I think Gahey will probably go to Man City. And I think might not be the end for Crystal Palace, but they're going to be that team of like a Bournemouth, let's say, who are just they've lost their best players, and because with Bournemouth they lost their basically entire defense from last season. Hoyson and that other defender who I think went to PSG.
Yeah, there's loads. Kirkers, goalkeeper. Yeah.
So they've been stripped, and I think Crystal Palace are next to be stripped. And I think losing Wharton is going to be huge because he's that midfield player that keeps it all together. And I'm not saying they're going to struggle next season, but I can't see them getting anywhere above 13th place, basically.
No, it's a shame for them, really, because they've got the manager and some players.
Yeah.
Gahey, Walton, Johnson's not bad. Of course, Mateta, these players are more than capable of European football of some kind, especially Glasner's the manager. But, right now, of course, nowhere near that. Realistically, squad depth, huge issue for them. They have gone big. I'm not just saying he's a Tottenham player. Of course, I'm not going to pretend he's this world beater or anything like that. But I think Johnson's a decent name, for Palace. That's a good bit of business, I think, early on in the window. It's a little bit of intent shown.
I didn't even know he played.
Yeah,
I knew he joined, but I didn't know he played already.
Bit of a bad thing, isn't it?
That's
really,
quick.
if you didn't notice, he's meant to have an impact going forward. But no, Brennan Johnson will never impress. I don't think with the performances, but it's his goals and movement and just positions he takes up. He's very clinical. That's why he's been brought in. Palace need to score goals. They just can't kill games. Hopefully, for their sake, they'll be hoping anyway that can change. But before we move on, Peter, I'll ask you about Newcastle. Of course, there was starting to be a few outside conversations from Newcastle fans about Eddie Howe and his future. They seem to look a bit better, as Cam said, sorted out defensively. Few good results on the bounce. Do you think they've turned a corner?
Really? You want me to start talking about the
Yeah,
Mags?
well,
They've
I've asked you
turned-
deliberately.
they've turned the corner.
He went
Well,
to it
I've
first
got-
deliberately.
I've got nothing to say about them, if I'm honest. I'm not messing with your show, Harry, but I've got nothing to say about that lot. Yeah,
Where they
Palace,
catch you?
Palace, I expected better from you. You can't be going up there and getting beat 2-0 by them lot. Yeah, Eddie Howe, I mean, look, yeah, you know, do I want him sacked? Worked last time against them. We've got to play them again one more time. Hang on to them for a bit longer.
I would
Okay,
like
fair enough.
Newcastle to hang on to Eddie Howe for a bit longer because I think he is the prime candidate to take over Tuchel for England. Like
Yeah,
he's
totally.
destined for that England job. He really is. Because
You deserve it, though. Do you not think?
because out of all of the English managers we've got, he's the best one. He is by far the best one.
Mm.
And I just think it's a matter of when, really. I hope Tuchel wins the World Cup and then leaves. So that we can get
Fair enough.
Eddie Howe in. But yeah, with Newcastle, the one player that I just hate that they have because he's one of those players that you hate because he's on the opposition team. But if he was
Just
with
one of
you,
them.
you'd love him. He's Bruno Guimaraes.
Oh,
I think he's just a dirty player when you play against him. Yeah, but having him on your team, he'd be incredible.
Yeah,
yeah,
he's a good
he'll
player.
cheer all of the throw-ins he gives away.
Love it. All right, good stuff. And to be fair, 2 good goals. Guimaraes, of course, starting that. And Newcastle left it late, 71st minute. Shout out to them because I do think they've turned the corner just a little bit. Next game then, Spurs and Sunderland. We've got a Spurs fan and Sunderland fan on. I'll start with you as the opposition, Peter, in this one. Do you think it's a good point in the end for Sunderland, considering you were behind and
Huge point.
really well taken goal? It just feels like a big point for you. And to be fair, deserved. It was coming in that second half.
It's a huge point all ends up. It would have been a huge point if you'd offered it to me before the game. It's a point away from home in the Premier League, going to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, desperately trying to trick myself every time from calling it White Hart Lane, but that's just age catching up with us. But yeah, look, a point would have been, I would have taken your hand off beforehand. The way Sunderland performed in that first half, I was less than confident by what I was seeing. Halftime couldn't have come quicker enough for us. Second half, a lot better from our side. Obviously, really pleased to see Brian Brobby get that goal, not just as the equaliser, but he's had quite a few chances. I would say he's had quite a few chances and he's had a few very good chances that he hasn't scored in the last couple of games. And it was just getting to a point that if he didn't put one of them away, that might get on his back. Very, very happy with what I saw. That's our team, our first team with 6 first team players missing. And
That's
no,
great.
7, I beg your pardon. 7, Dan Ballard was out injured as well.
Can I
who
just
only
quickly
made the
say
bench,
as
yeah.
well, that first half was the best first half I've seen of Tottenham this season.
Right.
They were all over you in the first half, but in the second half, just the complete opposite, really. Just that they've just gone back to being Tottenham of this season. And I'm very confused on why Thomas Frank made that decision, because if you were all over them in the first half, you don't change it. You go after them, and get more goals, because your defense, I mean, individual wise, your defensive players are very good, but as a unit, they're not great. But I just think that parking the bus, basically what he did for the last 45 minutes, was pretty pointless, pretty boring, and probably costed you the win, to be honest. And Sunderland, I mean, they had 6-7 players missing.
Yeah.
I don't understand why you've not gone for the kill. Because if it was any other team, like an Arsenal, a Man City, or an Aston Villa, or a Liverpool, I think that those teams go for the kill because they know that Sunderland are vulnerable. And credit to Sunderland, fair play to them, because they hang in there and they got their goal. And it's a big point away from home. And I think these points away from home are actually really crucial for Sunderland, because I've noticed on the road, they're horrific. They've got horrific form on the road, but their home form is incredible. And if they can keep churning these 1 points, maybe get a couple of wins on the road, they can get European football quite easily because their home form is just very, very good.
You're terrifying me there. I live in Berlin, just to let you behind the curtain here where I'm speaking to you from. And I've already got people who I've not spoken to for an awfully long time getting in touch with me going, hey, all right, like, are you still living in Berlin? Just any contact with a football for tickets, like? No, look, it's dreamland a little bit, if I'm honest, Matt, what we're seeing at the moment. I don't think it's undeserved, and that's what's been brilliant about it. I think
Definitely.
So one of the things we've been saying on our podcast so far this season is the best, well, certainly I have, the best thing, one of the best things to take away, because there's quite a few, from this year has been the fact that they've not been outclassed by anybody so far. They were outplayed massively by Man City, getting beat 3-0. But there were still points where Sunderland were in that game, even if you got beat 3-0. They were that was a Man City side at the peak of their powers on a great day. Arsenal as well were a fantastic side to come up against. There's a belief in the squad at the moment in Sunderland that there's not been for a long time. And it's got to the point whereby you've got Lebris saying it himself, that when they go a goal behind, there is such a confidence, and a deserved one, because they've done it time and time again. It's what got them to the Premier League, was this ability to find something in those depths of the 97th minute and the 123rd or something like that, the big ones from the semi-final and then the playoff final. But when you've got that, when you know in the team, right, there's a goal in here somewhere, and we're fit enough, they were a very, very fit team, and when the full squad is playing and it's that the midfield of Xhaka and Siddiqui, there's a reason they're covering, they're the top of all of the stats when it comes to distance covered. It's because they're on every single blade of grass, and some of them 3 times. And that makes such a difference. And it's with that belief that they have that they can get something out of nowhere, and that they're fit enough. They're, in many cases, I think, probably fitter than a lot of teams even in this league. It's a dangerous combination. And it's those games that previously would have slipped away from that Spurs game would have slipped away from Sunderland 2 years ago. Lebris has them conditioned, and then through Xhaka, he also has them conditioned off the field and in the training ground, and then through Xhaka on the pitch to get that message across that you can do this. He's done it in the past. Go out there and do it again. And it's a dangerous thing when you've got people that believe in a project, and it helps that they're pretty decent footballers as well. Like
that Xhaka signing, and I'm going to keep going back to it. That's a signing of the summer. I don't care what anyone says.
Signing of my lifetime, mate.
That is the signing of the summer, because how Sunderland have got Xhaka is so incredible, because his time at Arsenal was very, very, very criticised because of his behaviour of certain games. And what I think you're seeing is there's no media pressure on him. There's no pressure from the mainstream media on him, and he's just absolutely flourishing. And I'm loving it as an Arsenal fan, because Xhaka, I loved him to bits, and it was time to move on. But I will never forget that last season he gave us, and I think he has been signing of the summer, because he's basically, I'm going to say this, but he has single-handedly kept Sunderland up. I think him alone has kept Sunderland from being relegated. Now, pushing for Europe, the manager, the other players contribute, in that massively. But I think in staying up in general, Xhaka has been a fundamental part of that, in my opinion, because of, he gets me FPL points every single week.
There you go.
He's just a destroyer in midfield. He's now contributing with goals and assists. He's the captain of that team. He's the spine of that team. And you're not going to get many years with him, because I think he's 33 or 34 now. So you're not going to get many years with him. But what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to be in the Premier League for maybe 1 to 2 years with Xhaka, and then use that money to reinvest in a player that is, not world class, obviously, but a player that is a much younger version of a Xhaka, and you could build for many, many years. And I think he is going to be so important to how Sunderland shape their future.
Matt, I almost agree with you 100%. The one thing I would say is that Xhaka is that off the field in every single way.
Yes.
On the field, I think some
Agree.
of the players that have come in have made equally, and Robin Roofs. Without Robin Roofs,
He's been incredible. Sorry,
Noah Siddiqui.
I have not even spoken about him.
Reinaldo. I mean, Reinaldo at left back has been a sensation as well. Talby. I mean, everybody they've brought in has, by and large, I can only think of one who doesn't deserve calling out by name, who hasn't really flourished in the team. And the off the field though, and I can tell you a little story because I can see how he's desperate to wrap this up, but I'm going to tell this story. There's a really good football writer up in the northeast called James Copley. He writes for the Sunderland Echo, and he got this behind the scenes piece with the training ground, and he's been in everywhere. He knows everybody's name. Make sure that the under 15s sit with the first team, because if you play for Sunderland, you play for Sunderland. You don't play for the first team or the under 15s. It's little things like that that make huge differences. And he has shook that up from the bottom, and it's the owner. The owner did it. That he asked how. Listen, if you get a chance, listen to his. I think it's a pre-match interview before the game against Everton, and listen to him talk about the project. You almost would want to sign up for it. Because he's got an idea, he's got a plan, and it's so far so good. He's sticking to it and it's following through on it. But yeah, he convinced Xhaka. Xhaka convinced. Let's get this right. Then Xhaka convinced Mukalele, who'd been on loan with him at Leverkusen. So that Xhaka influence has already started, and obviously, give us a few more like Mukalele, and we'll take that. He's been class, like.
Yeah, he's been good.
Just one last point, really quickly. Roofs, I don't think he will be a Sunderland player next season.
I think we are going to get a lot of money for him.
Yeah. Like, you could probably get 40, 50 million for him because he's that good of a goalkeeper, at such a young age.
So young. He's had a hard tape around. Like, when I looked at him, I thought, because people kept saying he's young. I thought, why, for a goalkeeper, maybe 25, 27, something. He's like 22 years old.
Tottenham could look at him.
Yes, Canada for
Tottenham, Chelsea.
It'd be better than Vicario, to be honest.
Well, we won't give him the wage, so he won't come to Tottenham. But thank you, nice discussion there. Appreciate it.
Worries.
Before we move on from this game, because we are running out of time, Cam, as a Spurs fan, what did you make of this game? Does it feel like 2 points dropped? Because we just become really complacent, didn't we? And lazy and sat back in that second half rather than going from the second goal. So coming from someone that likes Thomas Frank, I just felt like, we could have gone further and got that second goal at times.
Well, when the first half ended, I was surprised we weren't like 2 or 3-0 up, to be honest. I mean, we had so many chances. I think Sunderland, whilst they were good in the second half, they were much better. I think they were really poor in that first half. I think we paid the price for not making the most out of our chances. And, when you have Thomas Frank, I mean, instead of going for the kill, he's decided to sit in. And against a team like Sunderland, who are going to be constantly pressuring you, of course, they have behind Aston Villa the most points won from losing position. I just think Frank got it wrong, to be honest. I don't think you can do that, especially not 1-0 up as well. I think if it was 2 or 3, potentially you can. I think we've paid the price, and I don't see why we sat back. I don't know why we did. Even though it was a good goal from Brian Brobby, to be fair to him, great finish. Ran up to our fans afterwards. I think he's going to come good, to be honest. And as you said, Peter, of course, he's had very few or fair few chances. I think he's going to come good, to be honest, for Sunderland.
He finds chances and he finds himself in great positions, Brobby, but it's been more that there's been 3 clear ones I can think of, really, in the last couple of matches that he should have put away and he didn't. So, wonderful, thunderous finish from him to put it away, but I was just happy to see it cross the line, get another one on his tally.
I think that goal's definitely going to inject some confidence into him for these games coming up for Sunderland, to be honest. And
great goal. Yeah, and they went from defence to attack really quickly, by the way. Good 1-2 touch football.
I mean, really at the end, I genuinely thought they had a chance of winning it, to be honest.
Yeah, I did. I thought it was nailed on. Once they went 1-1, I thought, hey, it's another one. It's coming. Here we go. I talked about that belief, didn't I?
Yeah, it's good to see, though, to be honest with you. Cam, briefly, in under 30 seconds, Thomas Frank in or out?
Well, I think this definitely goes further than the manager, to be honest. I think the owners are definitely at fault for what's happening. I think we're not going to be able to reach our full potential with the owners from upstairs, to be honest. I think I am in for now. I think we need to get him a proper January window. I think we need to properly reinforce. I mean, considering Mohamed Kudus got injured in that game against Sunderland, and we've obviously saw Brennan Johnson, I think we definitely need to be looking at a left winger, as I've said multiple times. And if he isn't getting that, then I don't see how we are going to progress any further, to be honest. But yeah, I'm Frank in for now.
Okay, lovely stuff. Thank you. Nice quick answer. Appreciate that. We've got one more game to review. Then we need to get score predictions in, and we've got about 18 minutes there to do so. Come on, we can do this and talk about the new Chelsea manager that has been appointed today. Come on, I'm determined. I'm on a mission. City 1, Chelsea 1. Peter, I start with you. I mean, Chelsea deserve a lot of credit, in particular McFadden, that stood in for this game. He was, wrote off, wasn't he, as an individual, just saw as this kind of puppet that was stepping in for this game. Everyone thought, Chelsea would lose this one, City to win it. Well, he deserves a lot of credit, doesn't he? And it's good to see Reece James giving him that kind of appreciation towards the end, pushing him towards the travelling Chelsea fans.
Absolutely wonderful to see. Not just because it was Man City getting pegged back in the 94th minute, but wonderful to see that you get that reaction at the end there. That's what football's all about. It's all about being the moments, the elation in those moments of winning. But yeah, new Chelsea manager coming in, new era's starting. Let's see where they go from here. They're not in the worst position, are they? I don't know where they are in the league. What position are Chelsea in the league right now? Ultimately, they are fifth, 31, same points as United. I know which job I'd fancy coming into more. Put it that way. If I was, I'd rather go into the Chelsea job than the United job at the moment. They're both on the same points. But yeah, there you go. It takes something to take some points off this Man City team when they're on form. So if you can do that, well done.
I'd probably take neither job because you get 5 minutes at both, and that's the thing. Chelsea, they're long contracts, endless wages.
I'd not last 5 minutes, man. They take one look at us and go, you're making our place dirty. Get out of here.
Absolutely that. Thank you, Matt. It felt like Arsenal's weekend in every single way. City dropping 2 points. I mean, you must look at that and at least, raise an eyebrow in a positive way, if that makes sense, or raise a smile would be a better way of putting it, and go, come on, we're getting closer.
Oh, I celebrated that Chelsea goal so loudly. But look, with Man City, 2 major things came out of that game. One, injuries. Gvardiol is out for around 6 to 9 months with a broken leg or a broken tibia fracture. Essentially a broken leg. And Ruben Dias is out for 6 weeks with a hamstring. Now, just really quickly, Ruben Dias and Maya Jama have a little thing going on. And obviously Maya Jama is the Love Island presenter. And Love Island 6 weeks. Coincidence? I think not. I think he's gone to South Africa and just chill, really. I can't fathom him being... I can't think of him being injured. I just can't. It's the coincidence is just too much. But, yeah, so that's one thing. And then the second thing was obviously they didn't win. I thought Chelsea were actually quite good. They would just, if they didn't have Pedro Neto, they probably would have 3, 4, 5 goals against City because Neto had so many chances, so many big chances. They just kept on fluffing them. Cole Palmer had a couple, fluffed them. They had so many chances, and on another day that could have been 4-5-0, or 4-5 goals. And Man City just didn't look at the races, and Haaland. I mean, he had a couple of good chances and didn't score them. And if Haaland doesn't score, I just worry. Well, I don't worry, but taking my Arsenal hat off, I just worried that City don't have enough firepower because Omar Mamouche wants to leave. Oscar Bobby's injured, I think. They got a fair amount of injuries, and it looks like their starting centre-back partnership for this upcoming game will be Ake and Kusanov. And those two players are very quick, but physically and strength-wise, they're nothing. So a good weekend for Arsenal fans. But yeah, and a good point for Chelsea, because I think that this particular game was a free hit for them. Whatever happens. If they get beat 6-0, they get beat 6-0. If they won 6-0, they won 6-0. You know, he wouldn't be in the job, you know, in the next 2 weeks. They were always going to recruit another long-term manager.
No, it's true. No, I think you're right. Free hit for Chelsea, and they delivered. Matt, thank you very much for that one. I appreciate it. Let's give score predictions then for every game in Gameweek 21, expanding from today, Tuesday night, to Thursday. And if it is your club, then you can give your thoughts as well, brief thoughts, as well as the score prediction. That's how we're going to do this. Joe had to jump earlier, West Ham fan, because he said his laptop camera is actually broke. So hopefully that isn't the case, and hopefully it is fixed. Fingers crossed, and hopefully the defense doesn't break as quickly for West Ham tonight, otherwise they will be in trouble and head into the Championship. Speak of the Devils, West Ham and Nottingham Forest is our first game. It is the one Tuesday night. I mean, blame both clubs for the fact we're having to get this done so quickly. Cam, score prediction to kick us off.
I don't know. I don't think it's a bold one anymore. I mean, when I think of West Ham over like the last few years, you wouldn't think, and Nottingham Forest, especially comparing the two, you wouldn't think it's, or you would think it's a bold one, but I'm going 2-1 Nottingham Forest. I think Forest are going to win this one and get further up the table. I think I don't see West Ham getting anything out of this, to be honest. 2-1.
Okay, thank you. Liam in the YouTube comments, it's a 2-0 Nottingham Forest. Guys, it will be quick moving, but please do get your score predictions in the comments below. We'll bring them up already. So we've already got 2-0 and 2-1 to Nottingham Forest there. Thank you very much. Come to you, Peter. What do you reckon?
1-0 Forest. I think West Ham are going to be in trouble, and I think Forest are going to add to it.
Oh, interesting. Thank you, Matt.
I think West Ham are going to win 2-1. I think Nuno is going to save his job with a good win against Nottingham Forest.
Pains as Spurs fan to admit, but I think I do agree with that one. I think West Ham just about edge it. It's really hard to call this one. It's difficult. Two managers that come up with the goods when it's unexpected in big games as well. Nuno. Yeah, do that just in time. Absolutely. Too late for FPL, but probably not too late for Super 6. Bournemouth then against Tottenham. As the Spurs fan, Cam, kick us off with your score prediction, and also please give your brief thoughts as well.
Well, Bournemouth are winless in 11 games now. It'd definitely be ours for us to give them a win. I mean, that game against Arsenal, I know that they couldn't get the result, but I think the performance overall, even if their first goal was gifted to them, I think they can definitely go into this game, especially with Semenyo. I think he has a medical at Man City, but it's going to be his last game for Bournemouth. I think, with all that talk, I think, I don't know. I'm going 1-1. 1-1. I don't think Bournemouth are going to win, but I think we get a draw out of this. Considering we drew against Sunderland, we drew against Brentford, I think it's going to be 3 draws on the bounce.
That's being positive, I think. Okay, thank you very much. It is, isn't it? Let's be honest with you. Thank you. Matt, what do you reckon? Predicting your North London rivals, do you think they'll lose in this game? Because surely the pressure's on Thomas Frank if they do lose this.
Someone said in the chat 5-2 to Tottenham, by the way.
Just seeing that.
It's away from home, so I think Tottenham will get a result. However, I think it's going to be 2-2 because Bournemouth are quite decent at home.
Yeah, it's true. They are. Even if they don't get the result, they play well. Thank you. Peter, score prediction in this one?
2-1 Sunderland. Semedo to score, but then Spurs win.
Okay. Good stuff. Thank you. Brentford and Sunderland. Cool.
Did you say Sunderland?
Or me or Peter?
Brentford versus Sunderland.
That's the
I
next
could have
game
sworn
now.
you said Sunderland beating Spurs or something like that.
Oh, did I? Oh, probably. It's always on the mind.
Yeah, I thought you just said Sunderland.
Did I? Oh, well, in that
You
case,
want Sunderland, apparently.
2-1 Sunderland. I mean, actually, I was going to go 2-0. Sunderland, 2-1 Tottenham. Sorry, I beg your pardon.
That's fair.
That's all right.
I think I went for Spurs, and then it came out. I just felt myself doing an S and went straight to Sunderland.
I knew what you meant.
Brentford Sunderland. Do you know? I'm quite nervous about this one. Realistically, I did say 2-0 off the bounce then, but it's a tricky one. It's away from home. There's a lot of games being played. We are still missing all of those players that have been missing. Thankfully, if I have sounded a little distracted while I've been speaking to you, lads, I'm sorry. I did have a little eye on the Congo match in AFCON, and thankfully Noah Sadiki not only came off uninjured as a substitute, but well, sadly now Democratic Republic of Congo are out, which means we get him back soon. Not in time for this one, no. So look, I would definitely take a draw. I would absolutely take a draw, but I just want to say a Sunderland win. I'm going to say a Sunderland win, but realistically, draw on the road in the Premier League. Happy days every time. But go on, 2-0 Sunderland.
Okay, thank you very much. Could be a tough game for you though, as you said. Matt, what do you reckon? Tough one for Sunderland. This.
Well, I've tripled up on Brentford. On Brentford, I've got Kelleher, Xhaka, and Thiago. So by that, I hope Thiago gets a brace and it's 2-0.
Love it. Okay, thank you. Cam, score prediction.
This one I'm going to draw. I'm going 1-1, to be honest. I think Sunderland will be happy to get a point at Brentford with their home record. We got a point there. I think Sunderland are going to get a point there.
Thank you. Sticking with you, Cam, Crystal Palace and Aston Villa, score prediction. Oh, you still with us, Cam?
Well, Palace have been not as good as I know that they can be. Sorry, just kind of out there. Does someone say something?
It's all right. No, you're back now. All good.
All right. I think Villa are going to get all 3 points in this one. I mean, considering we got 3 points at Selhurst Park and Palace were quite poor, to be honest, in that game, and their recent form has not been great. I'm going 2-0 Aston Villa.
Okay, Cam, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Matt, what do you reckon this one? Big one on paper?
Ooh, I don't know on this one. I think Aston Villa just edge it 2-1.
Yeah, agree with that.
I think Palace will put up a fight because they've got to, because otherwise it would be, 6 games that they haven't, won a game in. So I think they'll put up a fight, but I think Villa will win.
Okay, that's fair enough. Thank you, Peter.
Going for a Villa win. I'm quite confident of a Villa win. Look, I'm certain that Palace will be putting up a fight. And as you said, they've lost so many games or been without a win in so many games on a run now. But that Villa team that I saw play in the last match, they look hungry. They look good. They look like there's goals there. And I think if they catch them at the right time, I don't know, I could see there's been 2-0, 3-0 even. But I'm going to go for a Villa win. I've got to give a number, don't I? I'm going to say 2-0.
Okay, you do. Thank you very much for that. Everton then against Wolves, the different side. I mean, I have to call them something else, maybe Wolverhampton Wanderers, rather than Wolves. I should refer to them on this podcast. Slightly different to what I usually do. But Cam, what do you think in this one?
This could be potentially controversial, but New Year, New Wolves. Everton have been kind of very inconsistent. I mean, they had that game against Brentford at home. I think you know where I'm going with this. I'm going 2-1 to Wolves. Considering they got that win against West Ham, I mean, I know it's West Ham. I know Everton are probably better than them right now, but I'm going to go 2-1 Wolves. I don't know why, but I feel it.
Love it. Okay. Wolves fans will be really happy with you. Imagine if they fight it until the end. Wolves. I had this picture in my head of them being like just 2 points adrift on the final day. I
better get the credit if they actually win 2-1, by the way.
Yeah, you will. Yeah. You have to remind me, though, probably. But if I do remember, I'll definitely you keep the receipts on that one yourself in case I don't myself. Thank you. Cam, what do you reckon? Oh, Cam. Matt, what do you reckon?
Disrespectful. I reckon that will be 1-1.
1-1, okay.
I think it's a draw type game.
Don't think either side probably take that, really. Maybe Wolves slightly more, but not the situation they're in. Difficult. Okay, thank you very much, Peter.
1-0 Wolves, based only on the fact that I like drama and stories, and that brings it it makes it all a lot more interesting.
Love it. We love the drama. Absolutely. Okay. Good stuff. And before we got into Chelsea game, very, very quickly. So Chelsea have appointed a new manager. I'm not going to try and say second name. I think Liam Rosner, so you say it, from Strasbourg. So interesting. They've got their appointment in. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how that job interview went. So I know how much stay as well Strasbourg had in it. Very interesting situation. Again, that will drag on for a little while. Matt, briefly, I'm going to give the questions to you. What do you think of this appointment? No real surprises.
No real surprise. I think it's a terrible appointment, to be honest. I just wouldn't have sacked Enzo Maresca. I would have given him whatever contract he wanted because he was building something very genuine and not scary, but he was progressing with Chelsea by quite a long distance, and this will set them back. And the fact that he signed on to 6.5-year deal is just totally ridiculous. I thought it would have been a 2-year deal, and that's at a push. But 6.5, I mean, it's clear they think he's going to be there for years to come. But my prediction will be he will be sacked within 18 months.
Yeah, it's not a bold prediction at all, really. It's it's being brave. That's what I'd say about that. Thank you.
He's nowhere near what a Chelsea manager is.
No, he hasn't done a lot really for me over there. But again, he might do a good job. Time will tell. I don't agree with Maresca, but at the same time, you open your mouth, you pay the price when you're on a contract. But we've got 5 games remaining in less than 5 minutes, so a minute per game on these score predictions. Come on, guys, we've got this. Fulham and Chelsea. Peter, kick it off with you. London derby score prediction.
0-0.
0-0. Oh, love it. Nice and quick. Thank you, Cam.
1-1.
1-1. Oh, okay. I want to know if Matt's going to go with also a draw.
I went with 2-1 Chelsea.
Doing Chelsea. Okay. Break the trend. Thank you.
Purely
very
new
much.
manager bounce.
Yeah. And also
Yeah,
because on my
exactly.
Super Six.
Oh, no. Forget what you want to happen. Say what you think is going to happen. Come on, mate. Man City then against Brighton. We'll start with you, Matt, on this one.
I think Man City will win 2-1. I don't think it will be pretty. I think they'll struggle, but quality will prevail in the end. I think 2-1.
Okay, thank you. In the previous game, we've got 1-0 Chelsea and 1-1 from Fulham fan, but on City and Brighton. Cam, what do you reckon?
I'm also going 2-1 to Man City. I think they're going to win this one. I don't think it's going to be an easy one for them, but considering at home, I think they should be beating Brighton at home.
Okay, thank you. Liam reckons 7 goals, 4-7. Oof, interesting. Actually, no, he's gone for quite a few goals in that one. Okay, good stuff. Peter?
2-0 Man City, both for Erling Haaland. Get himself back on track.
Okay, thank you. I think City will be the favourites for that one. So, Darren Fletcher and Johnny Evans, that feels strange to say, as manager, coach and assistant coach, don't tell Amarin I said that, they go up against Burnley at Turf Moor. This will be interesting to see how it goes. Cam, can I give it to you with the score prediction? I think it has a 0-0 written all over it, really. Well, I could be wrong.
I was literally just about to say 0-0, to be honest. I thought maybe Man United can maybe nick this one, considering it is Burnley. I think they've been great this season. But yeah, I'm going to go all you said, 0-0, to be honest. Yeah, I think it's that type of game with where Manchester United are at this moment. I think, I think they're going to drop 2 points in this one. So yeah, 0-0.
Thank you, Peter.
Burnley 1, Manchester United 0. I'm going for the big upset. Yeah. I think it gets worse before it gets better for United.
They won't like you for that, but you're probably true.
It's never darkest before the It's always darkest before the dawn type thing.
That's it. Absolutely. Thank you, Matt.
I'm going 3-1 Man United. I think Darren Fletcher is an attacking coach. I've watched a couple of his under-21 games, and yeah, I think it will be 3-1. I think they'll score a couple.
Thank you. In the comments, 2-1 Burnley from Liam, and the opposite, 2-1 United from Barney. 2 minutes ago, 2 games, Newcastle and Leeds. Matt, we'll kick it off with you. Score prediction, please.
This one's quite a bold one, but I think it will be 3-1 Newcastle.
Okay. It's too bold. Thank you very much, Cam.
For this one, Leeds, they're in good form, to be honest. I know Peter's going to like this one. I'm going 2-1 Leeds. it's a bold one, I know, but
I forgot it's
no, I see Leeds getting. I don't know why, but it's a difficult one. I'm going
Not
2-1
at St
Leeds. Though.
James's Park, not for me.
Nah, but like I don't know though, because even at home they haven't been amazing at times.
Mm.
Okay, 3-2 Newcastle in the comments. Gone, Peter. I mean, it must be difficult for you.
Right.
Do you
I
understand?
hope you can hear me because it's glitching very badly at my side. So hopefully it's all coming out fine for you.
4-0
But there's
Leeds.
absolutely, yeah. Why not? How many? I mean, why not? I want to see them cry. I want to see them tear the season tickets up and throw them at Eddie.
Love it. Thank you very much. About 50
You know
seconds.
what? I
then,
admire
Mark.
the hate though. I admire the hate. Genuinely.
Yeah, it's
Commitment.
Yeah.
It's not even. It's not forced. I'll tell you that much.
Love it. Thank you. Well,
Right.
West Ham and Forest is just about to kick off now. Our players are ready. So we'll give the last score prediction. Arsenal and Liverpool. Matt, kick it off with you. By all means, don't worry about going over. Give your thoughts and score prediction.
3-1 Arsenal. Just a
And
normal
Arsenal.
result when we play Liverpool at home.
Got a 5-0 Liverpool here, but he's a Spurs fan for context. 3-2 Arsenal, though, from a Fulham fan. So, yeah, I think you'll be favourites going into that one. Would it be fair to say, Matt?
Yeah, Ekitike is looking like he won't be available. I don't know what type of attack they're going to put out. But yeah, we should be the favourites. We should be winning. That's it, really.
Okay, thank you very much yet again. I think that's fair to say. Thank you very, very much. Let's go around the banner and get the rest of the last score prediction. Cam?
I'm going 6-0 Liverpool. Yeah, I know. I can't predict an Arsenal win. I'm sorry. You'll never catch me do that.
He's not this deluded in my group chat.
All right.
Cam, thank you very much. And Peter?
Arsenal are, as I said, along with Man City, the best teams I've seen this year against Liverpool. It's not a great Liverpool team. I'm going for a fairly pedestrian victory for Arsenal there. I'm going to give you 2-0.
2-0. I'll take it. I absolutely would take it, and how Liverpool have fallen. But this wraps us up nicely for this podcast. And let me just promise you, it is never normally this long. But we had
Yeah,
two games.
I'm a dead man as soon as I get out of here.
I do apologize.
I came straight from filming for our news show, straight in, said hi to my wife, said, I'll just be 1 hour. I'm just popping down to do a quick podcast.
Send my apologies.
2 hours and 10 minutes later.
Yeah, I know. Please do send my apologies. So 2 game weeks we discussed. We discussed briefly Maresca getting sacked, the appointment of the Chelsea manager, Nuno and Frank under pressure, Liam Rosler's appointment, Dan Fletcher stepping in as interim for now with Johnny Evans, and then Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is expected to replace him as interim. So crazy stuff. And we didn't even discuss the January window. So it's never normal. It's usually half the time of this, literally. So thank you.
I've enjoyed myself. I've had a great time. Thank you very much. I felt like I was complaining a bit then.
No, not at all. No, you're all good. But it's all for a long time. I mean, I'm aching myself. Peter, where can people find you? We'll start with you. I'll let you go. Where can people follow you and the podcast?
Yes, WTF Sunderland. If you're interested in any of that, you can find me doing lots of other things, some of which I'm not allowed to promote. But you can also, from tomorrow, and this is at night to get better at, look at How Money Really Works, which will be a podcast about finance, politics, and how politics impacts where you should put your money. So if you're in the UK and you want to look at pensions, don't worry, it's not me talking about pensions. I'm just the one driving the conversation. We've got something for you there. That's called How Money Really Works. It's going to be coming out every Thursday. Give it a look, please.
Yes, absolutely. Please do support Peter, and of course the W2F Sunderland podcast, all the other stuff that Peter does as well. Peter, thank you for your time. No, honestly, great to have you on. Cam, thank you very much for coming on, being on with me again. Where can people follow you across social media?
Yeah, glad to be on this evening. I have a Twitter page, THFC_Cam. You can find me there. I'm normally tweeting about Spurs most of the time, not in a good way, but there you go.
Hardly surprising, but Cam, thank you. Good work as well. So thank you very much for coming on. And Matt, big thank you to you. Busy day for you as well. So thank you for giving me your time in the evening. Sorry to keep you as well for so long. Where do people follow you on social media?
Just my handle here on X. I mainly tweet about Arsenal, but sometimes about, Premier League academies, Premier League teams. But yeah.
Good stuff. Thank you all very much for supporting. If you're listening on YouTube, please like, subscribe. Enjoy Game Week 21. I hope your club does well. And again, Happy New Year. Thank you from me to you. See you next time.
Came along, just like a song, and brighter